Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.
All right. Good evening. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and look forward to hanging out with you once again. Always appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to continue to chat, put things in the chat, any comments, any questions, and we'll try to address them. So welcome. Just want to say welcome to everyone. Really looking forward to tonight. Always, many of our shows are focused more on, helping you with sales and marketing because, sales and marketing is your most important job. So it's not enough to just know it's your most important job. It's something that you need to continually work to get better at. So learning, from people who have had significant success in those areas can be extremely valuable. So tonight, our show, excited to have my guest, Barry Cohen, and we're going to talk about messaging right or not at all. Definitely it's important to get your messaging right, because if you're not effectively communicating to your audience, then you're not really going to get good results. So sometimes it's better not to message than to send the wrong message, because you have to keep in mind that, your brand is important, and, it's represented in everything that you do. So, definitely that's important. I'll look forward to talking to Barry and digging into this topic tonight. So once again, welcome. Feel free to, in the chat, just type in where you're located. So here, let me invite Barry on. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
Good, fantastic. Andrew, happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. Well, glad you're here, able to join us, and really look forward to talking to you tonight. Definitely we've talked a lot over the years, and you've been working with you on several projects, and definitely continuing to have great success. And look forward to just sharing a little bit about what I've been learning from you through the show. So before we get started, if you could take a few minutes to just talk a little bit about your journey.
Sure.
You have a pretty interesting journey that's gotten you to where you are now. So if you could take a few minutes and share that would be great.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. So when I got out of college, I had a degree in English, minor in speech and theater arts. I knew I wanted to get into the communications field and really didn't know how to get started. I had no guidance, I had no connections, anything. So I took a job with a small newspaper as a local reporter. I couldn't even pay my rent on it. So then I went and I worked for the government for about 3 years, and I knew that I didn't want that to be a career. I then took a flying leap into a small radio station that was in a turnaround. And I went into broadcast advertising and worked my way up eventually to New York stations, and managed a small station down in Virginia for a short time. And then transitioned my way over to the ad agency and PR environment. One of my old radio buddies asked me to join him, and back in 1998, we founded AdLab as an ad agency and a PR firm and an audio video production house. Fast forward, unfortunately, my friend of 40 years and business partner of 20 years died very suddenly. And I then shifted my focus primarily towards the publishing side. And that's where I'm spending most of my time now, helping entrepreneurs and business owners that want to become known as the thought leader, helping them to create and promote their intellectual property so that they can get their message out, raise their profile and credibility, and attract business to them instead of having to chase after it.
Excellent. So no, definitely. So you've had sort of interesting road, and everybody's path is different. But you've been in business an awful long time, and have seen a lot, and have survived. Most businesses don't even make it 5 years. So the topic tonight, message right or not at all. So what does that mean to you? What are we going to focus on based on that?
Okay. Well, we hear all the time in the political dialogue that words matter. Well, in business, words matter too. And crafting your message is extremely important because it makes a difference between whether you, as you said before in your introduction, whether you connect with your audience or not. The first thing I tell every writer, for example, that's thinking about doing a book is before they ever put pen to paper, before they ever touch a keyboard, know your audience, right? Define and refine your audience. Well, the same applies to all of your business messaging, a sales message, communications, whatever it is, whether it's on your website or whether it's an ad or whether it's a press release, always define and refine your audience first, because that's going to make a big difference in how you position your language and what you're going to say to that audience.
Excellent. So communicating to your audience and knowing your audience is key, and that's sort of like your target market. But also even within it, you may have micro niches where
Right.
you need different messaging for each. So what are the hallmarks of good messaging?
Right. Well, let's speak to that point you just brought up, which is about the micro niches, because one size doesn't fit all when it comes to communicating. You have to take into account when it comes to that audience, the demographics of the audience. What is their gender? What is their ethnicity or their race or their age or their life stage? Because you're not going to create the same message for somebody who's a retiree as you are for a college student, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent.
Right. So you asked about the what are the hallmarks of great messaging? Well, my rule number one is don't bury the benefits. Benefit up front and center. Don't make people read into the copy or listen for 30 seconds before they understand what's important. When I say benefits, I mean what's important to your audience. What's in it for them?
Okay. Excellent. So before we dig into this too much, we do the show through the Small Business Pro University. And it's one of our brain trust initiatives. But we have, a suite of initiatives under our umbrella to really help entrepreneurs and business owners sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth. So here's a short video about what the Small Business Pro University is all about, and then I'll be back with Barry Cohen talking small business. Many small businesses experience low or no revenue growth, and the owners are not making enough money. I founded Small Business Pro University to help you break that cycle by empowering you with greater knowledge and enhanced skills to lead your organization more effectively. Over the past 15 years, I've collaborated with organizations like the Small Business Development Center, Rising Tide Capital, Empower the Village, NJMEP, Rutgers University, and SCORE to work one-on-one with over 1,000 business owners and teach tens of thousands of people about business. My experience includes serving as a naval officer, managing businesses, graduating from MIT, earning an MBA from NYU, and achieving the CFA designation, which has prepared me to accomplish my mission of helping 1,000,008 business owners to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth by 2028. My vision is to create the ultimate business ecosystem for entrepreneurs. Small Business Pro University empowers entrepreneurs like you to run their businesses more professionally and create sustainable enterprises. We employ my proven proprietary Masterpreneur playbook framework to guide your journey along the Masterpreneur path and facilitate your Masterpreneur evolution to work on your business and scale faster and easier. Small Business Pro University provides access to valuable resources, partnerships, and relationships that will help you to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth. Our Masterpreneur initiatives include the Small Business Pro Network, 100+ expert-led multimedia courses, intensive training workshops, Spanish language training, Leadership Live at 8:05 live stream and podcast, in-person Power Breakfast events, and advisory coaching, consulting, and training services. All right, good evening. Welcome back. I'm here talking small business with Barry Cohen. The topic tonight, message right or not at all. So you talked about the number one thing that impacts your marketing or your messaging is knowing your audience and not burying the benefits. So, I do a workshop called Are You Talking to Yourself or Your Customers? And I think that's a challenge for a lot of business owners, that they're not really speaking to their audience. And it's easier to see it in other people than yourself. So how, what are some things that people can do or should do to be able to message more effectively and keep from talking to themselves rather than to their audience that they want to really reach?
Right. So one of the most important things to do is research to understand who that audience is, what motivates them, what's important to them, where do they come from, what do they aspire to, what's important, what are their dreams, aspirations, values. There's no shortage, no way of overstating the importance, I should say, of getting a real firm fix on that audience and what their desires and their needs are. Right. So, whether you do it in informal focus groups or, whether you do questionnaires or contesting, whatever, you've got to learn who they are and what motivates them. Right. And, when it comes to motivation, keep in mind that every purchase, no matter what it is, even tech, is emotional. Every purpose is emotional. And this is what I want you to know. Emotion doesn't cost a nickel more. Think about this. Compare the local cable commercial for the car dealer to the big slick national commercial for the auto manufacturer. What's the difference? The difference is they're pulling on your heartstrings with the dogs and the kids, right? They're reaching you at the emotional level, and every purchase is emotional. One of the other things I just want to go back to, we talked about what are the hallmarks of good messaging, and we said don't bury the benefits, right? We said know your audience, but another important point is having a clear call to action. How many times do you look at something, with a lot of flash and dazzle, a commercial, whether it's online or on TV or whatever, and afterwards you say, what was that for? What were they selling? What do they want me to do? Am I supposed to call, click, come in, write to them, scan it? Got to have a clear call to action. That's what's missing in a lot of today's messaging.
All right. So you said the R word, research,
Yes.
and that's an area where most small business owners really don't don't make the effort or take the time to really do it the right way, but it can be super valuable.
Well, let me give you some examples of companies that have done it, and you can see how you might apply the same, formula to yourself in your own business. Take Domino's, for example. Okay. They looked at, the pizza buying experience, right? And they asked people, what do you like and what do you dislike about it? And they said, well, it comes cold, it comes late, I get the wrong order. So what do? They turn that inside out, right? So the purpose then is to find the need, right? Satisfy the need and deliver on the promise and then get the word out. And that's basically what they did, right? They made a promise. They said it will come on time, it'll be right, and it'll be hot, or you don't pay for it.
Yep. And they made significant improvements, because back in the day it used to taste like cardboard.
Right. Well, again, if you don't have the product, doesn't matter how good your messaging is, right?
but
You got
there
to
was
have the
no
goods.
yeah, but there's no other competition at midnight.
So true. No, I mentioned emotion before and the importance of that.
Mhm.
Let me just mention another thing that's really important. Convenience. We live in a convenience-based world, a convenience-based economy. Think about this. An entire industry grew up out of convenience. I'm on my way home. The wife calls and says, pick up milk on the way home or pick up bread. Do I want to, park in a big parking lot and go up and down the aisles and stand on a long line? No, I want to go to the convenience store where I can get in and get out quickly. So think about the importance of convenience to your customer and how you can be convenient to them, how you can deliver convenience to them. What people need to understand is that messaging, right, and advertising in particular is more of a science than it is an art. Right? Let me say it again. It's a science first and art second. Basically, it's formulaic. You can reduce it down to a series of formulas when it comes to good messaging. I'll give you an example. So in my first book, 10 Ways to Screw Up an Ad Campaign, there's a formula I developed. Right price plus right product plus right time plus right audience equals right results. If you cover all those factors, you have a winner. If any of those are weak, you risk losing the audience.
Okay. And that's really about alignment of
Yes,
everything that you're doing.
right. Well, think about this when it comes to what you're putting out there. There's two sides, right? There's the message side and there's the media side. Okay. So the message is what you're saying, what you're promoting, right? The media is where you're placing it. Okay. And both sides have requirements. In order for the message to succeed, it not only has to give you, brand awareness. People not only have to know who you are, they have to also have brand preference. They have to like who you are and want who you are. You know, having an ad that just screams at people, yeah, they might remember, but that doesn't mean they want to buy from you, right? So the messaging side needs both brand awareness and brand preference. The media side needs to have enough reach, enough frequency, meaning you have to be out there enough times, right, to that right audience, right? And you have to be in the right place. If you cover right audience and you're on in front of them enough times and you're saying what they want to hear in a way that makes them, want to buy, you're ahead of the game.
Okay. Okay. So, so you're saying that it's more of a science than an art,
Yes.
and now with AI, how can how can that be beneficial in your messaging, and what are the key ways that it could be used to help make sure that your messaging is right?
Yeah, well, what the AI can do is, sharpen your words, right? It can sharpen your pencil point, so to speak, so that the words you're using are right and will resonate with your audience. Right? It's going to help you to craft that message maybe more than you might be able to do on your own if you're not a wordsmith, right? It's also going to give you comparisons. It's going to give you options.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So, when when we talk about messaging right, message not all, is it, what type of messages should we not send, or even when should we not message? Are there any, um, best practices around that?
Well, the not messaging is about timing, right? You have to be mindful of what's going on again with your audience, right? Are you talking to people that just experience a loss? Are you talking to people that just went through a hurricane or a horrific natural disaster? It's not the time to hit them with that message, right? On the other hand, you want to tie into the zeitgeist, as we call it, meaning things that are on people's minds that are important to them at the time. If you're reaching people with something that really matters to them, right, and resonates with them, you're going to get their attention in a good way.
All right. So timing's important. Um, so now, one of the things that you talk about is also how messaging can strengthen your brand,
Yes.
and how can that happen, and what are your recommendations around um, strategies
Sure.
for making that happen?
Okay. Well, first thing is stand for something. Okay. If you support what they love, they will love you. Walk into a retail store, supermarket, for example, and you pick up an item and it says on the package that it's cruelty free, that there's no harm done to animals or living things. And people are going to say, yeah, that's, that's more important to me. So I'll buy that brand instead of another one. So, again, stand for something, you support what your audience loves, and they will love you. Think about this. You want to create a presence with your messaging. Okay. Now, let's just define the difference between the functions of PR and advertising for a moment. Okay. So, PR or public relations will raise your credibility, raise your profile, separate you from the pack, right? It'll create a climate favorable to sales. But advertising, on the other hand, is designed to drive sustained traffic and sales. So when do you use which tool in the tool belt? Use the PR first, right? To build that brand and to build that credibility, that authority, right? And then follow with advertising, because then your advertising message will resonate with people that have seen your PR piece, and they're going to be more inclined to believe what you have to say.
Okay. Okay. So, you got PR, you got advertising. So now PR and advertising are different things. Um, is it something is that something one person can help you with both of those, or do you need, or is it something that needs to be specialized in terms of PR, if you need help in PR versus advertising, is it common to have the same person be able to do that effectively for you, or should you look separately?
It's probably a good idea to look separately, although there are people that can do both, right? I mean, I've done both, but still, there are people that are specialists like everything else, right? And even within PR and within advertising, as we know, there are many specialties. But again, to understand, what is PRable, so to speak, and what is not. Okay. The old expression was that if a dog bites a man, it's not news. If a man bites a dog, it's news, right? If you want to do PR, you've got to be cognizant of what the news people want, what's important to them. You know, the people in the media are understaffed, underloved, right? Over pitched. So you've got to be persistent and polite and nice, but you've got to have something that really gets their attention. But the same happens with advertising as well. I'll give you a quick example. So years ago, there was a small retail store in Denville, New Jersey, and they sold paint and wallpaper. And somewhere along the line, they decided they were going to bring carpeting in. Well, nobody knew them for carpeting, and we had to get the word out that they were now selling carpet. And you could say it a number of times, and it wasn't resonating with people. So back in the day when people actually read newspapers, right, we ran an ad that was only about 4.5 inches wide by 4.25 inches deep in the middle of a page full of ads in a daily newspaper. And people walked in the door and actually mentioned the ad. Why? Okay. Because we had the man standing on his head on the carpet, and it said, "Think how good it feels to walk on."
So,
which brings me to a point, okay, which I'll make, and that is, if you want to out advertise your client, your competition, without outspending them, you can. Okay, so there's several ways to do that. I'll give you several. Okay, one is use media your competitors are not using. If your competition is all over Facebook, you go on Google, right? Don't try to go upstream against somebody who's dominant. Okay, so use media your competitors are not using. Create more attention getting ads, like I just described, something that is going to get attention, right? By all means, ask for the order. Again, call to action. Okay, create a better value perception. Give you an example. There was a car dealer in New Jersey, a small Ford dealer in Bergen County, New Jersey, named Ed Mullane. And the guy used to get on the radio with his gravelly voice and say, "Don't pay for any frills. Come to my store, my bare bones showroom, where you don't pay for extras," right? While the competition's saying, "We're big, we buy in volume." Yeah, but you're paying for the crystal chandeliers and you're paying for the carpeting. And Ed Mullane's theory was, hey, you're not paying for the extras. So he created a better value perception, right? Also, develop a superior product position. What do I mean by that? Example, Bounty. Okay, would you pay 20% more if you can pick up 80% more with the paper towel? Of course you would. So I'll review those one more time. Use media your competition's not using, right? Create more attention getting ads. Ask for the order, right? Create a better value perception and develop a superior product position.
Okay. So, excellent. So now, one thing that I've heard and shared for many years is every business should be a media company. And, even before COVID, that was something that, I really tried to take to heart. And, do you feel that's true? What does that really mean? And, how should people approach it for themselves and their business?
Yeah, there is a lot of truth to it. And I mean, look, you're the perfect example. You're the poster child for that. By becoming a media company, you have created assets, right? You have created things that distinguish you, that separate you from the pack. Your articles, your published articles, your books. You can create a whole intellectual property platform that will set you apart from everybody else. So it may not be that grandiose. You start small and you work way up to it. But for example, within that platform, you can build brick by brick, piece by piece, where you'll have books, you'll have ebooks, you'll have audiobooks, you'll have webinars, you'll have podcasts, you'll do live speaking engagements, you may have CDs and DVDs for sale, you write guest columns, you become a guest blogger. And when you do that, you create an omnipresence. Now, again, being in the digital age, right, it's more important to think about your overall online presence than it is about your website. Okay. What do I mean by that? If people don't know your name, right? If they don't know your URL, your website address, if they don't know your company name, how do they find you? They find you by search. What are they searching for? They're searching for your subject matter. You want to make sure if they search for your subject matter that they find you. How are they going to find you? Because you've created that omnipresence. If there's more content about you in more places around the web that then link back to your site, you have a better chance of people finding you and engaging with you. So yeah, that's how you become a media company.
Excellent. And one of the things you do is work with people on books and publishing, and that's definitely media. Um, who should think about publishing, and why?
Right. Well, again, let's start with what's the definition of publishing today? It's not just about books. Okay. So any of that intellectual property that I just described, if you put it out into the in the marketplace, you are publishing. Okay. So whether you're doing a podcast or you're writing articles or a blog or guest blogging, right? That's all publishing, right? But again, there's still a great cachet to becoming an author, right? There's still a tremendous amount of respect that comes with that, credibility that again separates you from the pack. So, business coaches and consultants definitely should be doing books, right? Academics, professors should definitely be doing books. Back in the day, publish or perish was the business mantra. I rather was the academic mantra. If you didn't publish, you didn't get retained, promoted, or tenured at a university or college, right? But also attorneys, accountants, and even just progressive entrepreneurs. Anybody looking to raise their profile and credibility, stand head and shoulders above the competition, and attract business to themselves, can publish and should publish. And today, as we know, it's a lot easier to do it. Back in the day, you either had to get a publishing contract, which was rare, or you had to self publish, which back then meant having a garage full of books and trying to figure out what to do with them. Today, publishing technology has made it easy for everybody. It's democratized it. So almost all the books that are out there today are done on a print on demand basis. And unless you are a printer yourself, I defy you to tell the difference between a print on demand book and another book that was traditionally published. And the technology is so good now. What does that mean? What that means is that if I go on Amazon and I order a book that's print on demand, right? Every single copy is printed, bound, and shipped and at your door within a matter of days, right? So there's no inventory required. So if you, for example, are the author, you're doing a speaking engagement, you want 100 books, and you mistakenly put 10 into your order, it's already in progress. It's an automated process. You actually have to go back now and do another order for 90. It's totally cool.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, definitely publishing, you can do so much that wasn't possible even 5 years ago now. It's amazing how much capability a small business owner has to publish. So now, we worked on a couple of my books together, and for people who are thinking about writing a book, definitely my first one took 5 years. Second one didn't take quite as long, but what would you say are the biggest benefits of writing a book?
Well, again, the biggest benefits are the recognition that you get, the believability, the credibility. Again, it elevates you above the pack. Those are the major benefits to it. But again, think about the different uses of the book. Okay. So, yes, you can sell books, right? But book can be a training piece, it can be a recruitment piece for your company, it can be, a marketing tool.
Okay. And I actually found another significant benefit to writing the books. and it makes you better at what you do, because you have to think. It's one thing to listen to somebody say something, to read something, to actually do it, and then it's even the next level to teach it, because you got to be prepared for any type of question. And then writing the book, you got to be so prepared that you answer their questions without them being asked. So it really makes you learn and understand your material better. At least it's done that for me.
You can't talk about messaging without talking about the media environment. And what we need to understand is that we live in a multi-platform world today, right? For example, video did not kill the radio star, right? The internet did not kill television, right? So the reality is people are consuming their content through multiple platforms, right? And the more platforms that you can be on, right, the more people you're going to reach. With that said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, right? So, for example, let's suppose that you do a podcast. Now you can take your podcast and you can run it through speech to text transcription software. And now you created a blog without doing any more work.
Yep. So recycling content.
Right. Repurposing content for consumption on multiple platforms. Exactly.
Definitely. And, we do a little bit of that here as well. So definitely can be really helpful. So now let me take a quick break, because I want to let people know about a couple things that we're doing that could be beneficial. So give me a minute. So, number one, we're coming up on 5 years of our live stream, Leadership Live at 8:05. So we've had over 200 episodes, more than 200 guests, and really met some amazing people, learned a lot of great stuff, have a great audience, appreciate everybody's comments and questions, and to keep coming back. So what I wanted to do is sort of celebrate that, because it is a significant milestone. So what we're going to do is on September 30th, we're going to celebrate the 5 years. So we're going to run our show here live, but it's going to be 2 hours instead of 1 hour. And we're also going to have a live event where we're going to launch our live stream from. So definitely, if you're interested, we're going to have the event in Montclair, New Jersey on September 30th, live and in person. And, we're going to live stream it just the same. But also in celebrating our 5th year, one thing that we're doing, since we've had so many amazing guests and so many great business tips, what we're doing is we're launching a new book then. So hopefully, we'll have it available to anyone who comes to the 5-year anniversary event. Included in registration is a copy of the new book that's signed. It'll be an opportunity to meet other people who are in the book, and also some great networking with people who may be business owners, entrepreneurs, organizational leaders like you. So the new book is Accelerate Your Masterpreneur Journey, 99 Proven Tips to Do It. And those 99 tips are coming from 33 of our guest experts. So, hopefully you can join us on the 30th. But if you can't join us on the 30th, you can still order your book, pre-order it to make sure you get it. And if you pre-order, I'll make sure it's signed for you as well. So excited about that coming up, and you'll hear more about it as we get closer to the date. But 5 years is a great milestone. I'm looking forward to celebrating it with you. Great. So, another thing that, we talk about 5 years. how does consistency play into messaging? And you know, over time, um, the longer that you message, how does that impact your results?
Right. Great question, Andrew, for sure. You know, consistency is everything, right? Because that's how you build recognition. The old mantra was repetition, repetition, and repetition, the three most important things in advertising. And so, yes, over time, continuing to repeat makes a difference. But again, it's consistency across platforms as well, right? You know, you just can't you can't take your direct mail piece and throw it up on a billboard, okay? But you can adapt your message, and it's extremely important that what you do is recognizable across platforms. That there's a consistency in your identity, in your brand, right? And let's just for a second define what we mean by brand. We're not talking about just the brand indicia, like a logo or your colors. We're talking about the experience, right? The brand essence, which is what people expect to get when they buy your product or service. You expect a BMW to drive like a BMW, not like a Yugo, right? And that is your brand. It's your brand essence. And that has to be consistent across everything. It's how you portray it, how you live it.
Excellent. So yeah, so definitely, especially as a small business owner, you are your brand. So people are looking at you and what you do all the time. Um, so now, when you're communicating, um, how should communications be different when you're looking at email versus social media? What type of differences in that? And appreciate um, this question that was asked from the audience.
Yes. Well, again, email should be shortened to the point, right? You know, the purpose of social media is to make a connection. It's not to sell, right? It's to make a connection with people, people to people, right? If you think about it, traditional media were the original social media. So, for example, a person has a relationship with that, radio talk show host that they listen to every day when they drive into work, right? Well, the same thing applies online, right? And social media is that conversation that you're having, right? Whereas email is more of a selling message for the most part. But emails should be brief and to the point. People don't have time to wade through long emails.
All right. So brief and to the point. And how would if we wanted to throw text messaging into the mix? How would text messaging vary from them as well? What?
Yeah, I mean, with text should be even shorter than emails, and and again, you have to make a connection with the person, even if it's just a very brief message, right? Say something that means something to them. If they think they're being sold right off the bat and they don't even know you, forget it. They're going to delete it.
Okay. Okay. So it's about building the relationship
Yes,
to make it more comfortable or more likely that they'd be willing to buy from you.
exactly.
Okay. All right. So now, we've been talking about different messaging. Um, I have a question from the audience about, tip. What would you say the best tip is for building credibility? Um, what would how would you approach that?
Yeah, the best tip for building credibility is authenticity. And oftentimes, authenticity means vulnerability. In your vulnerability is your strength. Be willing to reveal yourself, your thoughts, your concerns, your emotions, and being genuine. And that's really the best way.
Okay. All right. So really being yourself. Um,
And
you know,
caring.
and okay, and caring, definitely being able to look at the world, not just how you look at it, but how others look at it, so that you can appreciate them a lot better. So, okay. And then also, when you're trying to personalize a message, what type of, how can you, what are some strategies for personalizing your messaging to make it more effective?
Well, you want to personalize a message by, again, talking to the person, not at the person, using language that is, something that isn't going to be talking down to them or shooting over their heads, right? I mean, how personal can you get? It depends on how you know the person. If you don't know the person too well, you can only get so personal. But again, showing that you care, showing that they're important to you.
Okay, great. So going through some of the questions, but also put a link in the chat. So we started opening up the show. So if you'd like to come on and ask a question live, there's a link in the chat, and feel free to jump on and let you in to ask a question if you'd like to do it live. So now here's a great question, because time is money. So, how long should we take to craft the perfect message?
Without being flippant, actual mileage may vary.
Mhm.
Right. Again, how important is this message? How many people do you need to reach? Right. How urgent is it? Is going to determine how much time you put into it. If you're under the gun and you need to get something out quickly, then you're not going to take a lot of time. But if it's something that, is not time sensitive, then yeah, by all means, work it over, show it to other people, get feedback on it, hone it, sharpen it before you put it out there.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of things in business are relative, and also our industry, company, and owner specific. So just every solution's not, there's not a one size fits all solution. Depends on different characteristics. Definitely when people look at selling, they look at what their perception of what a good salesperson might be, and good messaging might be, and feel that they are unable to deliver at that level.
Well, to that point, let me just say this: the person that educates and informs is not selling, right? But that person, remember, nobody sells; people buy, right? But they're going to buy if they feel like they're not being sold. And one of my clients has said to me, he says, you're the consultant's consultant. He says, I never feel like I'm being sold because I'm just educating.
Okay. So you're really adding value even before they're a customer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay.
Good point.
So excellent. So let me just mention one other thing that we've been doing through the university. That's an exciting project. We've got the 5-year anniversary coming up on September 30th. But we're actually just launching what we call the Masterpreneur Growth Assessment. And we're setting it up now as a way to get your Masterpreneur score, find out where you are, and let's see, the last one is, let's see, and learn where you should focus your efforts. And those are challenges for most business owners. So we just launched the Masterpreneur Growth Assessment. It's a great tool for learning these things. And since we just launched it, we're making it available for free. So you should take advantage of this. So if you go to, let's see if I have a banner for it. Okay. So you can go to SB Pro/assessment, or you could go to the same place /take the assessment. Either one of those will get you to the Masterpreneur assessment. And it's a great tool. I've been working on it for several years, but it's powerful in that it helps you to understand where you are, what you're doing well, what things you could do better at, and how best you can move forward from where you are currently. So definitely check that out when you get a chance. So you got the growth assessment. In the growth assessment, part of it is you get a Masterpreneur score. Take the assessment to get your score and find out more about how your business can be more successful and grow faster and easier. Okay, so just wanted to get that out there because this powerful tool for business owners, and this is a opportunity to access it at no cost, which may not always be the case. So cool. So Barry, we've been talking about a lot of things about messaging. We've had some great comments and questions, and appreciate everybody who's been commenting and questioning. Definitely there's so many ways we could go with this. But I think this was a good overview and 101 to let people know more about messaging, and how important it is, and best practices around doing it effectively. We did talk about a lot of things, but most people can't remember more than 3. So it would be great if you could sort of share the top 3 things that you think people should take away from our discussion this evening.
Sure.
I'm going to give you a minute to prepare and play a short video about some of the capabilities we have to help business owners, and then we'll come back and Barry will help wrap us up with the top 3 recommendations. So here's a little bit about what we're doing now for a lot of business owners that could be beneficial for you.
You risk cash flow, tax, and profitability issues without timely, accurate financial records. Unfortunately, most business owners are not happy with their current bookkeeping situation.
Actually, our bookkeeper kind of left us. He actually got a job.
Many struggle with it themselves or have trouble finding the right help at a reasonable price. Even if you have a bookkeeper, there are often inaccuracies that can cost you money due to their lack of accounting knowledge and experience.
We had a lot of missing holes in our reporting. Things was a little hard to keep track of.
Fortunately, it doesn't have to be that way. That's why I incorporated small business-friendly bookkeeping into our service offerings.
Working with Andrew and Small Business Pro University was a very easy process. They really understood our numbers and our data very quickly and what needed to happen.
We meet you where you are, whether you want to switch to save money or need us to clean up past issues.
Since working with you, we've definitely been able to catch up on a lot of those missing holes and fill those gaps. So from a business standpoint, I'm able to understand my numbers a lot better.
Bringing everything current for tax and compliance purposes.
Along came Andrew Frazier. In a short period of time, they got us up to date. And now we're fine, and they're handling our bookkeeping.
Use the link below to schedule a complimentary discovery session to explore how we can help. www.sbprou.com Livestream.com/discovery. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose by scheduling a complimentary discovery session to explore how we can help at www.sbprou.com/discovery.
Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Barry Cohen talking small business. The topic tonight is message right or not at all. So Barry, what are the top 3 things people should take away so that they can, start to implement them tomorrow to help them be more successful with their messaging?
I thought you'd never ask. Okay, top 3. Number 1, benefit, benefit, benefit. Don't bury the benefits front and center. That's number 1. Number 2, clear call to action in all your messaging. People have to know what it is you want them to do. Are they supposed to call, click, write, scan, come in? All right. Number 3, know and understand your audience and what is important to them. So it's benefits up front, clear call to action, and know and understand your audience.
All right. So I'll have to say that was very clear, concise messaging. Usually people take a lot longer to go through their top 3. But I think, what you said is right on, benefits and benefits versus features. I think a lot of people get stuck between the two. I don't know if you could take a second to sort of explain the difference, because I think
Sure.
that would be beneficial for people.
Yeah, I mean, features may be product attributes, but benefits are what what does it do for you, right? How is it important to you, right? Why would you want it? Those are benefits. So, for example, the life insurance salesman, nobody wants to buy insurance, okay, but you do want to protect your family. So the feature is, well, it's $100,000 life insurance policy. The benefit is it'll protect your family if anything happens to you.
So basically, nobody's looking to buy insurance, but they do want their family protected. And just the way you communicate it can make all the difference in the world.
Right.
Excellent, excellent. So a clear call to action. I think, I think it was my mom that said, if you don't ask, you don't get. So, it's important to ask. I think for a lot of business owners, especially coming out of corporate or being employees, it can be uncomfortable to ask for stuff or ask for what you want. So definitely that's something you're going to have to overcome if you're going to be successful in business. So, and then know your audience, know who you're talking to. You mentioned research was a good way to do it. And especially with AI, it makes it so much easier and so much more effective for small business owners to be able to do great research. So
again, test your messaging before you put it out there.
Okay. So yep, test it. And how do you test messaging?
Well, for example, you create your own informal focus group, whether it's online or in person. You put the message out to several people. You give them several options, and you see what they gravitate towards, what resonates with them.
Okay, excellent. So, no, this is great. I mean, definitely, those 3 things, takeaways. Benefits, focus on them, have a clear call to action, and then know who you're talking to. So, Barry, we've got your LinkedIn profile in the chat. We've also got your website in the chat. So if people want to reach out to you or get to know more about what you're doing, definitely feel free to look in the chat and take advantage of those links. Barry, anything else you want to share before we start to close out?
Not really. I just I just want people to take what we've given them tonight and run with it.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So, all right. Well, definitely appreciate you being a great guest. Enjoyed the conversation. If you can, hang out for a little bit as I close things out, and we'll go from there.
Good. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Thanks. Excuse me. So, once again, I think we covered some valuable ground on something that can be really helpful for you as a business owner, because communicating your message is key if you're going to grow and sell successfully. So next week, looking forward to our show as well. We're going to talk about community building and how is that different from audience building. You know, building community is really the future of where most businesses need to be. So I'm excited about this session, talking with Seth, and hopefully you can join us. So always appreciate you tuning in, and always remember that the more you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow. Take care and have a great evening.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.